Okay, so have the pieces separated out, and in Unity they're brought in like this. They come in as a sprite. It's got multiple. Let me open the sprite editor to show you. So that's what they are. They all each had an individual sprite sheet. Now what I do with that, and I'll link you a YouTube tutorial that's really good to look at, is I'm going to make something called a sprite mesh. Revert. I have already made something called sprite meshes. So each one of them here is a mesh. Let me open the sprite mesh. They look like this, okay? So I don't know if you can, like, you can see the dots around that and the kind of like little cuts here. Those are where it's able to bend. So it makes like a thing called a mesh. If anyone's done 3D before, it is essentially a bunch of like, it works like a 3D mesh. And it needs to have a segment there in order to bend. So this actual mesh can only bend along those lines, like wherever there's cuts. And you can add more cuts. I'll show you all that. Then I have these bones. This mesh is rigged to these bones, which means these 4 bones control this entire mesh. So let me just go to select one of them and overlay. So you can see the different colors of each bone. You can like literally change the color of the bone by clicking on it, and you just change the color of it. It's all it is a pure visual representation. It doesn't actually change anything.
Would this mean that the bone legs affects or whatever they are affects the way the dress moves?
These bones here, see that purple one is affecting the purple area. The red one is affecting the red area.
Are those legs or just that?
These are just 2 bones that I've made.
Okay,
These are
so
bones specific for the cave.
No.
The legs have a different one. Let me go.
No, I'm saying that it's not the legs bones affecting the
Why are they leg bones? That's the leg bones. They're like each mesh has separate sets of bones dealing with each part of the mesh. Okay? So let me show you the full rigged up character, which hopefully will make a bit more sense. Which is here. So that's the fully created character. And it is set up, it's got code and stuff on it as well. Let me just go down to here. And these circly things are called IKs. And what IK is, normally if I have a bone, so let me pick one of this, let me pick like the hair bones here. So see this hair bone here? If I rotate this, it affects that. Well, I shouldn't be affecting this part, but it is. I can just rotate them individually, and then this little part, I can rotate that individually as well. You can see it's kind of screwing up a bit. It's catching a bit of the back of the head. I need to fix that. Okay, so that's fine. Now the only issue with that's completely fine. You can individually rotate them. The only issue with that is if I have like a limb, so like an arm. I can, let's say I want to move an arm from here to here. I can go like rotate this one and then rotate this one. Works the same. But with IK, I have something that's on the palm, and I can just move the palm and it just follows. So let me show you. If we go to IK holder, left arm IK, and if I move that, you'll see like the arm bit moves. Can you see?
Yes.
Yeah? So that's the arm, the left arm, there's the right arm, and then I have the left and right legs as well. Cool. And I think my cape is also IK. So you saw the one that I showed you before. So it's kind of like stretching the cape and stuff. This obviously got limitations, and the more bones you have, the more kind of smooth you get the bends, because you see like I can only really bend like that. I don't know if you can see that. So it only really gives me a 90-degree bend because I didn't put enough bones in. If I built this again, I'd probably put like a series of 3 bones in there. All right, so that controls that part of the cape, and then this controls the front of the cape. And I can build an animation from that. So let me go to animation, and I can build a brand new animation. Blah, blah. And it's essentially the same as your frame by frame animations, but you put in the frames, except in this type you're putting in keyframes. So like if I want, let's say very similar to Maya if anyone's used that before. So let me just do that. So it'll go from where it started to there, okay? Okay? Now, you see the way it's going like that? It's going like, and that is because it will take the shortest route. If I tell it to go from here to there, it'll take the shortest route. if I wanted to do like a swing around, I do need to add in that keyframe. So in between here, I'd probably add in like that, and now it'll go from there, down there, and then up. Okay? So you need to change the keyframes, and they'll affect the keyframes before and after. Now it does take a while to set up. It is a little complicated, but once you get it set up, animation is way easier than the old system we used to use. The old system used to be like, used to be very like individual pieces. You had to move individual components, and it was a bit of a pain in the hole. You were there for that, I think, last year, yeah. So this system is like essentially new since last year June and isn't even fully implemented yet, which is why there's the weird Anima 2D as well as the weird 2D animation package in Unity. So I assume they will both be merged at some point. I assume. I don't know. I don't have Unity's roadmap. So that's essentially how we build stuff. So I can show you, I have an idle here that hopefully will play. So that's the idle. You can see they all have like little bits of motion and stuff. Then I have a walk first. And the walk is like that. And then I have a run. That's all I have for now. In the final, your assignment as we put up, you'll need like a jump. So there'll need to be something when you jump. It does a jump animation, a fall, and an impact when it hits the ground. Because like when you fall and you hit the ground, you just need like a little one frame, like, and it comes back up. Say what?
Oh, sorry. I just when I heard this make the whole anime thing, I thought we had moved this part.
No. That's why I'm asking you to make it separately in these pieces. This is a much simpler way. If you want to do your one like frame by frame animation, you still can. You absolutely can. I'm okay with it. But just like this is way simpler. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just because like if other people are using like pixel art, so it's kind of.
It's fine. You can do that.
We won't be marked down for not.
You won't be marked down, but your quality is going to be expected to be the same. So it's up to you if you want to do pixel art. It's just I'll be expecting it to be as smooth. Yeah, that makes sense. So you can kind of see it like there, running away, and it's like that small on screen. So you do get away with quite a bit in terms of like how exaggerated you make the motions. Because generally, I don't know how big your characters will be, but generally characters are this kind of small and tiny. So let me just show you it in the game. What? Say again, what was that question? Rice? Oh yeah, I didn't put in the links, sorry. So this is a bit weird because I have these things called sprite meshes. Only the sprite mesh can be affected by the bones. Now I can swap out sprite meshes at runtime, but it's a bit complicated. So what I have for the eye is instead I have a sprite that's just childed to one of the bones. So it's childed to, what is it childed to? Ponytail bone? No, it's childed to the head bone. So wherever the head bone rotates, the eyes go with. So I can make it blink. Let me just, I'm on record now. Let me just, where's the eyes close? Is this sprites or sprite meshes? So I have two different things. They're called sprite and sprite meshes. These are sprites. So I'll make it eyes open at the start. Brilliant. And then like here, maybe I'll make it blink. So eyes open again. And the next frame, I'll just do a one frame blink. Let's see how that works. Yeah, you see the blink?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so wait, let me just copy. You always need to do one thing, and I'll go over animation and stuff. Today, I'll only go over setting it up and getting ready to animate. Next week, I'll go over how to animate because it's a whole separate thing and they're quite complicated. The one major thing you need to do if you want it to loop, which is like continue rotating, the first frame and the last frame need to be exactly the same because it'll run to the end and restart from the front. Okay, so let me copy that eyes closed and put it at the end and play. Come on. It's not blinking?
It's a very fast blink.
Is it very fast? Let me just make this. So at this keyframe, eyes open, eyes closed. Okay, let's just separate that out a bit. Okay, that should be longer. There you go. Cool. So you can see I can also edit the keyframes after I've set them. I can move them apart from each other, which leaves more timing in between them. Unity also has this awesome thing that, like, let's say I think the entire run is too fast or too slow. If I grab everything, they have these handles at the side. You have no idea how big a thing this is. This is huge. I can just do that, and now it just takes longer. She runs slower. Okay. so you can kind of like tweak the speed. So don't worry too much. You can tweak the speed after. It's great. It's great. So let me just show you the whole thing running in the game. If I have it, maximize is fine. I don't have jump right now, by the way.
That's okay.
It
looks amazing.
There we go.
Is there something different about the main picture compared to the other one?
Yeah, this one has post-processing and stuff on it. That one doesn't. Why is it taking so long? It's broken.
As it spawns in the
What?
side of the page.
What'd she say? It's recording.
Oh my god.
Wait, what? Wait, what? I may have crashed Unity.
No, I'm not having any recording.
Huh?
Is the only thing that you use tiles for the background?
So,
Everything just painted that you did for your
no, mine are all separate pieces. I did not use the tile map because I don't think the grid, that game, Grio or Gris or whatever, I don't think it suits the tile map. Yeah, so like that's why I did it that way. Now I have taught you tile maps. So you should know to use both, right? Because you use the other one. I don't know what's happening.
Have they spawned in the side of the page?
No, I think my Unity crashed.
Really crashed. No!
Yeah, I think it did.
Oh, it's supposed to be amazing.
Okay, interesting. Okay, I may have to restart Unity. Apologies.
That makes sense.
I do. I have like a. I have like all that on my phone.
Where's that song from again?
Oh, that's Undertale?
It is Undertale, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you kill Calmam or did you let Calmam live?
Who kills Calmam?
I killed Calmam. I didn't know you couldn't kill Calmam.
What that just sounds? Then the game takes off.
The game just it sounds ridiculous.
Alright, sorry about that. Don't know why it didn't work. So there she is walking, and because I've set her on the correct layer, I've set her on a player layer, and the player layer is behind the. I have two layers. I have a foreground and in front of foreground for these yolks. So she'll appear behind those no matter what order and layer. So she's always behind those, but she's always in front of the midground. This is midground, and the background stuff you'll always be in front of. Obviously, on the player layer itself, you'll need to change the sorting layer so like the right arm will be in front of the face and in front of the left arm and stuff, right? So yeah, that's basically what I have so far. She doesn't run. Sorry, she does run. Sorry. I don't know if you can tell. She walks first at a slower speed and then runs at a faster speed. And she doesn't jump right now because I don't have a jump animation. But she does kind of like slow down. So it's a really good idea to have a run and a walk, because like when you're running really fast and you go from a run direct to an idle, it's a bit weird. But having a walk in between makes it quite nice.
Is that ladder or the stairs or the background?
The stairs, yeah. Those are stairs. She can't go up them. Pretty sure I gave enough force. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Cool. But she can't jump up to the next set because I haven't given her a jump. What was I going to say? She is tagged as player. That's why she's affecting all the other things. And there is code that I will give you. It is commented as well as I could comment it. So you should be able to read through the code and decipher what's going on. All I'm doing for a left to right, by the way, like this left right, all I'm doing for that is I'm literally just flipping the game object. I'm just flipping the child game object that contains everything. So I don't need to make two sets of animations for left and right. I just do one and I flip it. Obviously the player needs to be symmetrical.
Would it be too much effort to try and make an animation for when you change direction so that the character...
You can if you want to. You can do that.
Just do a few frames.
Yeah, it's a few frames like you know.
But the thing is, if you have a character, like you have sometimes with a character is holding a weapon,
Yeah.
that when you reverse
Yeah, it would
them-
swap hands.
Yeah,
So in that case,
it's-
you do need two separate animations. Definitely.
Oh, okay. So basically, you'll need one where the body is covering over the weapon.
You'll need a check for which way the thing is facing, and then you'll be like, if it's facing right, say this. If it's facing so the way this works is I have an empty game object. I have an empty game object here. This is where all the code lives. So this one has code. It has physics. All the interactions. It's purely empty. It has a collider on it. So collision. Well, that's included in the physics. It has all that stuff in it, but it's empty game object. That one is the one that actually moves. Childed to it is another empty game object, and this is the animator. And that one just holds the animator components. Because remember, if you have an animator component, you can control all the children. If you have an animator component, any animation you make on that animator will allow you to control all the children. And the children of that are where the sprite meshes live and the bones. So the bones are a separate structure, and the sprite meshes are rigged to the bone. So you actually move the bones, but because the sprite meshes follow the bones, they will automatically follow where you move them. That makes sense? Okay, so I'll literally make a skeleton like, let's say that. And the sprite meshes, I'm telling this arm sprite mesh, you listen to these two bones. This arm, you listen to that bone. The torso, you listen to the torso bones. And therefore, wherever you move the bones, the sprite meshes follow. All good? Okay. All right. Do you have any questions before I show you how to set it up?
How do you set it up?
That will be the next, like, 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Do you need a break before I do this? No. Sure? Jesus. What?
I have my character sketched out on Photoshop. We have to sketch each and individual part on the sheet.
Yes,
Okay,
you'll have to.
so
If you want to do this method, yes. But the sketches, I'll look at them after I show you all this, and then I'll look at your sketches and basically see whether they're suitable. Okay?
Oh,
Right, so, but now I'm just going to show you how to set it up, so that you have that. I will also link you to a tutorial video that's really good, that it shows you also how to do it. In case my video isn't good. Yes. Okay. A little. It's okay. Alright, so just before I show you the setup as well, this is the actual animator for the character that I'm using. It's taking in 3 parameters. Speed, so that's your X speed, your horizontal speed. It's taking in vertical speed, which I'm not using. I'll be using that for jump later on. And then it's taking in a grounded, which again I'll use for jumping later on. So basically, if I'm on the ground, it'll tell me I'm on the ground. Can anyone tell me why I would need that? Why would I?
want falling, so you phase of falling
jumping, then you can try to run the run animation and the jump animation at the same time.
Yeah, and like also it also helps code because it tells me whether I'm even on something, so I can jump. Otherwise, you can keep jumping forever. So yeah, it has dual purpose. So let me just run this again without maximizing it and show you what the animator. So there you go, player code and physics. It's all physics only, and then the animator holder only has an animator, and then there's all the children. Hey, keep it down for a sec. Learn to whisper. Jesus. Alright, so you can see it's playing idle, and it's taking in the speed parameter, and when the speed goes up, you can see that, it starts running, but when the speed drops down, it goes back to walk, and then it goes back to idle. And that's controlled by the transitions here. So it says, player will play idle by default, if the speed is greater than whatever number you choose. In my case, it's 0.2. It will play walk. If it's greater again than 4, it will play run, and the opposite backwards. So less than 3.9, it'll play walk. Less than 0.2, it'll play idle again. Okay, so it controls itself and controls what it plays, taking in that speed variable. That speed variable is from the code. The code is looking at the rigid body, calculating the speed, and then telling the animator. So all the animator is a passive thing listening out for that variable speed. Okay, and I just set that up in code. That is here, and it just tells the animator what my speed is. Okay, like I'm not going to go through all this code. I'll do that next week. Okay, but just so you know, the code does tell it. It tells it an actual parameter called speed that I have to be caps sensitive, and the animator will listen for that. Okay, cool. So let's set this thing up. Let's make a new scene, and I'm going to put that scene here. And I'm gonna, yeah, that's easy enough. So you all should know how to import a sprite and then set it to multiple and go to the sprite editor, check the pixels per unit. You should know all that stuff, right? Right? Yes, Baz, we do, because I told you this.
Yes, man.
Cool. All right, cool. Okay, that's fine. And then for each of them, make sure you set the pivot point. See the pivot point? That's where this is the arm, so that's where the shoulder is. I'm setting the pivot points into the right positions. So the neck will rotate from that point. So I'm setting the pivot point there. You can just grab a pivot point and move it. No, when you sprite editor, when you slice, they come in with a pivot point by default in the center. So you can just grab that and move that to where you want. Okay? And like to make sure they cut correctly, you just need to go slice and automatic and slice it, and it should detect all the little areas that you have in your, like mine. In my case, it made 2 little sprites are on each one, which is fine. You just need to, if you have one that you don't want, you can just delete that. So like hit delete. Well, let me just make a new one. So for example, if this is around like a tiny pixel that's in there that you didn't mean to be there, you can just select it and delete it. Or if it's if it's the wrong shape, you can just grab one of the handles and reshape it. Okay? And then you can name them down here. So you should know all that stuff already. Let me undo that. So what I'll do after all that, I have all the individual pieces that I have hopefully named correctly, but I did not because I'm not smart. So I'll have to name them properly. One thing to be aware, make sure you name it clearly. You will get so many problems if you don't. You'll have like sprite 10010 357 or something, and you have no idea whether that's a left arm, right arm, whatever. Make sure it's named correctly. So what I need to do from these is I can't just drag them in a scene, because if I drag them in, this is a sprite, a normal sprite. I am using the Anima 2D package, which asset store. And just search for Anima 2D. Anima 2D. That one, Unity Anima 2D. And just install that. Oh, I can update. Yay. Okay, well that works. So with Anima 2D, I can make something called a sprite mesh. And to do that, you can right click on any sprite, create an Anima 2D sprite mesh. Okay, I already have one, that's why it won't let me make another one. You should be able to select all of them and right click, create Anima 2D sprite mesh, and it should just make a copy of all of them. For some reason, mine doesn't let me. I have to do it individually, so I have to individually create for each of them. But either way, you should get that. Once you have all the sprite meshes, I have them in a separate folder here. Here they are. It's a sprite mesh. It's a bit different. Okay, they look the same, but they're all individual. Let me get rid of blah blah. They're all individual sprite meshes. Okie dokes. All right, so I already pre-made them. They will appear in the same folder. I just grabbed all the sprite meshes, put them into a different folder, just to make it clear. Right, so they're all here. What I can do then is using these. Let me just. Do you know what? I'll actually bring in. No, I'll just make a new one. I'll bring them in one by one. So, oh no, they're already rigged. Damn it. So I'll have to make a new one. Apologies. Which is good for you because I'll do it from scratch. So let's make a brand new test. Test 2. Import new asset. And this is in cool, there we go. Sprite 2D, sprite mode multiple. It's 512 pixels, which is a bit large, but whatever. Apply, slice, automatic, slice. Each one's individual, set up their pivot points. Yay. 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 Do remember to name them. I'm not naming them because I'm trying to get through this fast, but you should. Oh, see like that? Where there's 2 of them? Just delete one and just use the other one to make an eye. There we go. Because I'm never going to change. Well, unless I want to wink, but that's fine. Cool. That one pivot point here. That one here. Happy days. Make sure to name them all and then apply. Cool. They're all here. Please let me just do all of them at once. Please, 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 please.
Yeah.
No, great stuff. Great stuff. It is pretty spicy. I don't know why it doesn't let me do. Okay, I'm gonna leave the eyes for now. Will I do the cloak? Do you want to see the cloak or not really? Ugh.
It's disgusting that thing.
Oh, I guess I'll make the freaking hair as well, will I? Effort, like it's almost like it's my job or something. Okay, cool. So they're all sprite mesh here. Yay. So I can put them in a different folder, or I can just begin building it right now, and I'll just build it. So there's the heads here, and the arm. Yeah, it's a little creepy without the cape.
It's a very Tim Burton inspired.
It is. And I might go and rename everything. So this is torso. This is head. Hey, if you all want to chat, you can, but if you can keep it down, because like it actually affects my concentration. Left arm. And whichever way you want to go. If you want to go like stage left or the actual left arm, I'm doing it by the actual arm. That's their actual right arm. This is right leg. And this is left leg. And then the cape. Stage left is the audience's left? Stage left is from the audience point of view, what's left. So if I was looking at you, this is stage left, even though it's my right arm. Okay, so you can see as well, the head is a little huge there, so I'm going to resize that a little bit. And this is the time to resize stuff. Put in the hair. Oh shit. Do y'all want to do it?
No!
Yeah, well then, you know.
We're not making fun, it's just quite entertaining when we're laughing.
Okay, and you see the way one of the arms is hidden, so the right arm. So first thing to do is grab all of them, and I already have made a sorting layer. Do y'all remember how to do sorting layers?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I made one called player sorting layer. If you don't remember, it is add sorting layer. And you see the way I've dragged it here, which means it will be behind the foreground and behind in front of foreground, but in front of midground and background. So anything in player sorting layer will be in front of these two and behind these two. So I just need to set all of them to go to the player sorting layer. Awesome. And then I also need to control the ordering layer. So usually, let me just put the cape outside for a bit. Grand. Usually I'll put the torso at 0 Fine. And then what's on top of the torso? Alright, let's do cape. I would actually do... No, I can do cape. So cape, and then I need to do the left arm, I assume. So that'll be at... Or the head first. Let's do the head first. Head at 2. Hair at 3. Which means the arm on the left needs to go in front of both of these at 4. And don't be afraid to like check it. So just like rotate. Yeah, cool. Works perfectly. Except for the hair. What's happening there? Oh, that didn't go through. 3. There we go. And then left arm should be able to. Awesome. Goes in front of the both of them. Perfect. And then the right arm should be. Let's do the legs first. So right leg, we can do that behind the torso because you never see it. So -1. Well, left leg should be -1 and right leg should be -2. And then finally that right arm is -3. So it's all the way at the back. Cool. And I can rotate it so I can still see it. Cool. So it's over there. Alright, so you see the way it's all set up now. Everything should be in front of each other. The legs are a little creepy. Let's move them up a teensy bit.
Does she have a name, Buzz?
What?
Does she have a name?
Wendy. Well, I guess she's called Wendy now. Why? Because of her red hair.
That's not. Is that red?
The Wendy's character was like orange.
No, I just wanted to.
I think her name is Player Code and Physics. So.
It's like a name in the code.
Alright, so I have that set up. They're all sprite meshes. They're all set up in space. Okie dokes. What I do need to do is create an empty holder. So create an empty. And I can call this the animator holder. And that will hold the animations. So, sorry, it'll hold the animator. And the animator holds all the animations. And I can just drag all of these, boop, onto there. The hair might as well be childed to the head, because it'll go everywhere the head goes. Okay, cool. Anything else need to be childed to each other? No. Should be fine. We should be able to control them with the bones. Done. So that is the actual mesh setup. Okay? But it's not the rig. It's not the bones yet. It's not the skeleton. So I need to set up the skeleton of it. So I'm going to create another empty, and I'll call this bones, and that will hold all the bones. Bone holder. You of all people.
Wow.
So I'm going to create 2D object, and oh there, bone. This will not appear unless you have Anima 2D installed, by the way. You need to have Anima 2D installed. So bone, perfect. And there's a little bone there. And now the thing to know is we always want to start from the center of a mesh or whatever, or of a person, a skeleton, outwards. So if I was to ask what you think the center of someone would be, what would it be? Torso. So where do you bend around? Like where do you? You like pelvis, right? Because your legs can bend around it, your upper body can bend around it. It generally all centers around your pelvis area. Alright, so it is generally the pelvis. If you do torso, it means like when you move the torso, the lower body will be able to move from it. So you want to do it from where like the core is, like the base of the body is, which generally is your pelvis area. And that means like if you're doing a dog or a four-legged animal, it will start again from like where the pelvis area is in the dog. Have you all seen like skeletons? I hope you have. Like we're all basically the same concept. Like, it all starts with the pelvis. Alright, so I'm going to move that to the pelvis. You'll see a problem because my cape is covering my entire torso. So what I'll do instead is I will just temporarily drop the alpha channel on my cape just so I can see through it. The bones are invisible, by the way, so it's fine wherever you put them. So that's kind of like the pelvis area. And then you change the length. And rotate it. And I want her to be able to bend like around here, so let's bend there. So I'll put like a bone here and then one more there, so that it can bend in half. Okay. So from that, I will call this pelvis bone. And bone, and I'll call that torso bone. Don't know if that works. And just change the height until it fits. Okay, and I'm going to put the head a little bit further down, like here. And childhood to the torso bone will be the head bone. Okay, so wherever the head bone rotates, the head will rotate with it. And then, will I do one for hair? Yes, I will. And I'll do a freaking hair bone. Okay, I'm just going to do one bone for the hair. I would use two usually, but I'm just going to do one, just so we can move along. All right, so I've got that sequence set up, right? The thing is, I need my arms, and my legs as well. So where do your arms come from? Like, what part are they connected to? The shoulder, which is connected to the torso, right? So if I have a bone in a sequence, this is a sequence of bones. If I grab one of the ones in the middle and I add a bone to that, so 2D object, bone, it will come out like this. It's got like a little kind of transparency link. It means that it knows that it's linked, but I don't have to make a specific link to it. Okay, so that is left arm upper bone, and length of that.
When connecting each bone to, let's say you connected the cloak up with the arms.
You don't want to do that, because that means when I move my arms, the cloak will move as well, which doesn't happen in real life. Like, I know if your hands are under a cloak, when you move that part, the cloak moves. But it doesn't mean like if I do that, my entire cloak goes full, right? Because that was what will happen. It is connected to that. So I probably want to connect the cloak to the torso. So wherever the torso moves, the cloak does follow. That's correct. And then I can have separate bones on the cloak to manipulate it separately.
Would you also want to connect it to the legs as well, because it also affects the movement of the front?
You can, but effort. I'm just going to do bones individually. So I'm going to individually control the. Okay. So I'll basically move the body, see how it's moving, and then I'll use my cape bones to control what the cape goes.
So that's like a whole
Yeah, essentially, and that's generally what happens. Unless you can actually simulate it, that's basically what happens. So animation was. I don't really. This is taking a long time. Oh, can I stop here and then like go to the already made one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So assume that I've done all of them. Okay. Just assume. So what I would do now is I need to tell each sprite mesh which bones to listen to. So let me go to, let's say, the torso one, right? So the torso there, and it will, because it's the sprite mesh, it looks for bones. So I can go open, like press plus to get a list, and it's dealing with the pelvis and the torso. So let me make two of those, and I tell it you are listening to the pelvis and you are listening to the torso. So it knows to react to the two of those, okay? And I need to do that for all of them. So let me do like the left arm. Awesome. You have two bones as well. You are listening to the left arm upper bone and the left arm lower bone. Perfect. And then the head bone. Oh, sugar. Head mesh, even. You just need to listen to the head bone. That's all you need to listen to. Hair, you need to listen to the hair bone and the ponytail bone. Cool. And I think that is all I have, right? Cool. So that's telling the sprite meshes which bones to listen to. I now need to make sure that they are doing it correctly. And to do that, I need to open a window. Can I get it from here? No, I don't think so. I think I need to get to the window. So it's window, Anima 2D, sprite mesh editor. So it looks very similar to the sprite editor, but it's a little different. Coolio? So let me just do the head for now. So clicking on the head. I can also control now which area it is to be affected. So if I want, I can control using this point. So I'm like, oh, listen to, affect this area that I'm pointing out here. And I'll explain why that makes a difference. If you select a line, hold shift, you add a point on it. Again, the tutorial video that I'll send you says all this stuff. And if I need to add more vertices, I can just double click and they add more vertices. Now, why would I need to add more vertices? Imagine I needed this head to bend, right? You need to have like a line of vertices there that allows it to bend. If I don't have that, it's not able to bend. I'll do that for the torso because I definitely need that for the torso. So anyway, once I have this, and I'm like okay with the mesh, I'm going to hit bind, and it's going to bind to this bone. I do need to turn on overlay, which is a bit stupid. I don't know why this is not on by default, but anyway, just so you know, you won't see the heat map unless you hit overlay. And now it's telling me this entire mesh, this red area, is all completely rigged to that one red bone. And that's perfect. All I want. Awesome. So that's an easy one. Then I can go to, let me do a more difficult one, which is the torso. It'll ask me, do you want to apply? And yes, you apply. So here's the torso, and this is where it gets difficult. You see the way the mesh is like that weird shape? That's not correct. I need to make it like fit the actual torso. So I'll need to add a few points here and there. You need to select the edge first and then hold shift to add the vertex. Okay. Cool. Okay, so I've kind of made it fit the actual sprite shape. Do be aware though, like, I don't know if you can see, it's very faint white lines. Can you see them? Yeah. They're really faint. Everywhere there's a line, it means it's allowed to bend at that line point. If you don't have enough of those lines, it won't be able to bend. So like, see up here, this area. Ignore this area. If I have this area and I wanted this to bend, it would not be able to because there's no lines crossing that way. Okay? So it needs like a line in order to bend on that segment, they're called. This gets set up automatically. What I can do though, let's say I want more lines. Let me zoom in there. I just need to double click and it just adds more for me. So I can add like a line here and a line here. And then if I set it automatically connects. So now I have a line here. See that? All right. So if you want to make, this is called a vertex. If you want to make a vertex here, double click. If you have the edge, you need to select the edge and hold shift and click and it'll add a click. Once again, this is recorded and also will be the tutorial that I send you. So this means now I can bend here and here, which will give me a smoother bend. If I only have the cut here, it'll only bend like that. So let me just draw a little quick example. So if I have let me just make a box. If I have a cut here, that means that box can only bend at that cut, which will give me a weird shape like that, because it can only bend there. But if I have like another 2 cuts, let's say, that'll allow me to do a bend like this, which is a lot smoother. Okay? That kind of makes sense? Alright. So that's why I'm setting up the vertices. Specifically, you'll probably only need to do it for your torso. Your arm should be okay. But like generally your torso is the most important part for bending. So you probably only need to do it for that one. So let me go to bind. and you can see the two colors, and that's working. Oh, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll add a bit more here. Oh, sugar. And auto, just hit auto to recalculate. Hit auto again, and then when you're done, happy, just move on to the next one and just apply. Cool? Alright, so I've done two of them. I've done head and torso. I just want to show you. So if I grab the bone right now and rotate the bone, the head moves because it's rigged to the head bone. And the same with the torso. Hopefully if I rotate here, oh nah. Let's go back to torso. Anima 2D, spray mesh editor, torso, overlay. And apply. Does that work?
It will.
Yay, okay. So you see the way it's bending now?
Yeah.
Right, and about, like, you may have to hit apply. Sometimes it doesn't apply. Now is there any weird ones you need to know? No, that's pretty much it. Which arm is this here? Left arm. Okay, let me just do the left arm just so I can show you that one. So once again, bind, hit auto. Oh, the sprite mesh is terrible, so I'll need to remake the sprite mesh. Let me just turn off the overlay. So try to make sure the shape fits so it reacts properly. And apply, and hopefully, let me just give me 1 second because I just need to show you the arm bit. That arm bone, arm bone, arm bone, arm bone. Cool. And this lower one. Cool. All right. Sorry, what's the question?
With each individual sprite, did you draw that in 512 on Photoshop?
I just did like the 512 shape, and then I drew them all together, but on different layers, and then separate them out. Right. Just be careful when you separate them out. The way Unity does it, wherever sprite you have, it draws a square rectangle. So just make sure that rectangle doesn't hit some other sprite there. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is the last little bit that you need to know, which is important for the IK stuff. So you know the arm that I can move, that's that circle, and the arm followed. That's the last little bit I have to do. So the IK is a specific thing. I can go and animate now. I can just use that and individually, every time I want to make my arm move, I can individually do that. That's fine. If you want to do that, okay. But IK makes it a lot easier. So I'll go back to the bone holder and I'll make another empty game object, and I'll call this the IK holder. That will just hold all my IK stuff. IK stands for inverse kinematics. And what inverse kinematics means that it kind of like calculates the limb as a limb would be. You don't need to know why. Whatever. Google it later. So in the IK holder, right click, 2D object, and I do a IK limb because I'm making a limb. So IK limb. Make sure I put that IK limb where it should be. Oh, don't know why it's huge. GG. Alright, it's fine. Sometimes they're huge. I don't know why. So the IK limb is there at the end of the limb structure. Okay? Okay? Let me call that left arm IK. And what I'll do is it just needs to know the end of the limb. So this is the upper arm, lower arm. It just needs to know the end. If I have a palm, by the way, I don't want the IK to go to the palm. We want it to go to like the forearm, because then the palm can move independently. Okay, so like you're able to like move the arm and then do whatever you want with the palm. So we are going to pull in this bone, which is left arm lower. Perfect. Drag left arm lower bone here into there, and you see the way it's set up as an IK. If it's going the wrong way, that's completely fine. Just hit flip, and now it's flipped. Cool. You can even animate the flip, by the way. So you can animate. So like in some animations it goes that way, in some animations it goes this way. So you can animate that. And now that's like ready to animate. So when I'm ready to animate, I need to have a animator. So I need to add a animator component.
Yeah, that's the animator.
And I'll need to create an animator here as well. So create animator controller, test animator controller, and just drag that into the animator holder. So remember, I have a whole empty game object that is just a parent for all the sprites, parent for all the bones, and all it holds is the animator controller. Okay, and this is what I'm going to flip. So the code is going to flip this one. So what the code actually does is I go here, scale -1, just does that. Okay, so it just makes it a lot easier for you. So you just need to animate in one direction. So then window, animation, create any clip, blah blah blah, and hit record, and you can start animating. So let me grab the left arm IK, let me put that here, and that animates from here to here. I can do the torso. Animate the torso. And the head, no, it's fine, I didn't rig the hair. So there we go. And that's why I have the pelvis set up here, because then I can move the pelvis and all the rest of the body follows as it should. Okay? And then when you're done, that's animation done. Well, if I want it to loop, I need to copy the first frame, paste it at the end. Like here. So that should loop. Lol. Okay, so that's really dumb animation, but that's essentially what it is. So for next week, all I need from you is your character. I'm going to look at all your characters and advise you if there's any difficulties you may see or anything like that, which parts to keep separate, which parts to incorporate. You'll need to have those characters separated out like the one I have. You'll also need to have it set up with all the bones, but we do not need to animate yet. Next week, I'm going to show you animations, because it's a whole separate thing. This is the technical part. Next week is the creative part of making an animation feel correct. I'll be showing you idle and walk, how to do the easiest variation of an idle and a walk, and then some extras if you want to go a bit crazy. Okay? Any questions so far? This is all recorded. I will send this to you. If the class rep reminds me. Class rep.
Do it.
Okay. Any questions?
As Unity as a whole, do you find it's it's a good program to use for animation, or what would you recommend for it?
Let me stop the recording.